Okay, so 4.4 part 2 deals with factoring using the greatest common factor. So a common factor of the terms that can be factored out of the expression is going to be our greatest common factor. So we're going to factor out a coefficient, meaning the number, and an exponent, meaning like the x's. So we're going to factor out the greatest possible coefficient and the greatest possible exponent that we can. So let's look at example 1. What is the greatest number that we can pull out of both of these? 3. What is the greatest exponent that we can pull out? X. Since we have 2 x's here and 1 x here, we can only pull out one of the x's. So we're pulling out an x. So now, how many 3's do we pull out of 6? Well, we pulled out 1, and what are we left with? 2. So we need to divide what we pull out of the number. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then for the exponents, we subtract. So since we had 2 x's, we pulled out 1, what's 2 minus 1? 1. So we're left with 1x. So then for the number, we divide. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then we only had 1x, and we took out 1x. So how many x's are we left with? 0. So this is our answer here.
Question?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Would there ever be a 9x to the second and a 6x to the second? Or no?
There can, but if it's like 6x squared plus 9x squared, we can add those together and get.
Or before?
Well,
oh, yeah, okay.
It would be 15x squared.
And that would be your answer?
Yeah. So in order to see if we did this right, we can distribute the 3x to what's inside the parentheses. So it's 3x times 2x. 6x squared. And what's 3x times 3? 9x. So we got the same thing as our original. So we know we did it right.
This is low-key easier than yesterday.
Obviously, sir. I get it.
And let us know beforehand.
Okay, example 2. What number can we pull out? 7. How many x's can we pull out? None. Since 21 doesn't have any x's behind it, we can't pull out any x's. So what are we left with in our first?
X squared.
Just x squared, perfect. And minus what?
3.
Minus 3.
Oh, because you divided the 7.
Yeah, because we divided the 7.
And then you distribute.
If we wanted to test our work, so this is our answer right here. This is our answer.
Why? Just because you can't divide it by anything? Except for the 7?
We can't factor this out anymore. This is as low as we can go. If we wanted to test our work and see if we did this right, we could distribute the 7 to the inside of the parentheses. So we have 7 times x squared, which is 7x squared. And 7 times negative 3? Negative 21. So we got the same thing that we got before. So this part here is just testing the work to see if we did it right. But the answer is this part.
Zane, you got that?
Oh my god.
You got that, Zane?
Hopefully not. Okay. Let's look at the next one. We have 9x squared plus 9x minus 18.
9.
We can take out a 9.
We're going to get x squared plus
3 plus 3.
minus 2.
Perfect. Now we have a trinomial in our parentheses. So we need to factor this. So we need to do the same thing we did yesterday, where we have 2 parentheses now.
Oh boy, this word is confusing.
So we need 2 factors of negative 2 that give us a positive 1.
Negative x, positive x.
Negative 2, plus 2, negative 1.
2 and negative 1. Because what's 2 minus 1? 1. So it gave us positive 1. So we have x plus 2 and x minus 1.
Oh, I don't hold this triangle.
Wait, so how'd you get x plus 2?
Because I pulled out a 2 and a negative 1. Because the two factors of negative 2 are 2 and negative 1.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So if we were to FOIL this back out and multiply it all by 9, we would get the original, what we started with. Okay, example 4. What can we pull out here?
6.
2.
Wait, huh?
We're pulling out the greatest common factor. So since the first one, our smallest number, the first one is our smallest number, which is 2. So we can't pull out anything more than 2. So we're pulling out a 2. Can we pull out any x's?
No.
No. So what are we left with inside the parentheses?
X to the second minus.
Perfect.
So before you do anything, you gotta divide them all.
Yes.
You put them in parentheses.
Yes, before we do anything. Because remember what we did yesterday? All of these was just a 1 before the x squared. So in order to be able to factor it out, we need to have it so it's a 1 before the x squared. So that's why we have to find the greatest common factor and pull that out. So now we have 2, and then we're going to make our 2 parentheses. So what are 2 factors of 4 that give us negative 3?
4 minus 1.
What's 4 minus 1? 3, but we're looking for a negative 3. Negative 4 and negative 1 is what?
Negative 4 what?
And 1 is what?
Negative 4 and negative 1?
Negative 4 and 1.
Negative 4.
But what's negative 4 times a positive 1?
That's negative 4. That's negative. Negative 3?
But we're looking for a positive 4.
So you need negative.
What's negative?
Oh.
The 1. The 1 can't be negative because they both have to be positive. What if you did 4 and minus?
Oh, 1 and 4.
1 and negative 4. 1 and negative 4.
1 and negative 4.
That would make sense if you multiply by negative.
For this one, let's pretend that this is a negative 4. A negative 8.
Negative 4, negative 1.
So,
Negative 4 and positive 1.
and positive 1. So what do we get in our parentheses?
2 x minus 4.
X minus 4 and x plus 1. So I changed this example to a minus 8 at the end because it didn't work out before. What can we pull out?
5.
5.
Parentheses 2x.
Can we pull out any x's?
Yeah, 1.
1. We can pull out an x.
Plus parentheses 2 plus x.
2 times x. And then, do we have anything else?
Plus x.
Plus 1. So since we're pulling out a 5x and this was a 5x, we have to have that 1. So now if we distribute this, just to test our work to see if we did it right, we have, what's 5x times 2x?
10x.
10x squared. What's 5x times 1?
5x.
So plus 5x. So that's the same thing as our original. So we did it right. So you have to make sure that you have that 1. So this was our answer. Okay, and last example.
You can pull out
we can pull out a 4. Can we pull out any x's?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So what are we left with on the inside?
X to the second plus 4x plus 3.
So what are 2 factors of 3 that give us 4?
3 plus 1.
3 and 1. So we have our 4 up front, and then we have our 2 parentheses. We'll go in the parentheses.
X plus 3 and X plus 1.
X plus 3 and x plus 1. Any questions on these? Alright, so open up the homework now and we'll go over the first one of the homework.